TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the IDF pledges to hunt down Hamas leadership alongside those responsible for last week's murders of the 6 Israeli hostages in cold blood. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant reaffirms his instruction for the IDF to alter its center of gravity from the Gaza Strip to Lebanon. The United States, France, Britain, and Germany announced sanctions against Iran over the transfer of ballistic missiles to Russia. Israel will not falter until all of the Hamas terrorists responsible for the murder of Israeli civilians are eliminated. In a heart-clenching video, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari showcased a subterranean hideout where Hamas held 6 Israeli hostages and subsequently murdered them early last week. The entry into the subterranean passageway was blatantly located in what appeared to be a children's bedroom.
From the shaft, located in a children's bedroom, you descend some 20 meters by means of 4 separate ladders. At the bottom, a narrow tunnel emerged of approximately 120 meters in length, being cordoned off at the end by a metal door. The latter part of this tunnel was where the hostages were held, and subsequently murdered.
Admiral Hagari visiting the place where Hamas forcibly held the hostages, including Hersh Goldberg Polin, who held dual Israeli and American nationalities, and Alex Lobanov, who was a citizen of both Israel and Russia.
This is a transit tunnel. It isn't a subterranean room. It's a tunnel in which you cannot stand. You cannot stand here straight up. The humidity here is very tough to live in.
Amid operational activity above ground, absent intelligence regarding the location of the 6 Israeli hostages, the heinous Hamas terrorists holding the hostages captive murdered them in cold blood before fleeing the scene.
Here were the last moments of Hersh, of Eden, of Carmel, of Ori, of Almeg, and Alex. This is where they were brutally murdered.
Admiral Hagari went on to stress in an expanded press briefing that the IDF won't cease until those responsible for the abhorrent murder are located and eliminated.
We are examining the materials and following every lead to track down the terrorists responsible for this heinous murder. We will continue to operate against Hamas with determination and eliminate the commanders and terrorists wherever they may be.
Amid intensified cross-border hostilities along Israel's northern front, in which Hezbollah launched over 100 rockets and unmanned aerial vehicles toward Israel in the past 24 hours alone, the IDF is seemingly intensifying its aerial bombardments of the Iranian proxy throughout southern Lebanon.
Alongside the ongoing operations in Gaza, we continue to operate with intensity on the northern border. This morning, in an extensive strike on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, we struck a military headquarters and a weapons manufacturing site of Hezbollah. Additionally, we eliminated a commander from Hezbollah's Radwan force. We continue to act with strength, and we are prepared with operational plans, and we will act in accordance with the directives of the political level.
Turning to the field in the northern arena, where Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant initially commended the deployed forces along the northern front and reinforced his unequivocal instruction on the IDF to transition the so-called center of gravity from the Gaza Strip to Lebanon.
First, I see the people and I met with the commanders. I am impressed by the determination, the high professional level, and the adherence to the mission that has been going on here for almost a year, both in the north and in the south. The center of gravity is moving northward. We are nearing the completion of our tasks in the south, but we have a task here that is a task that has not been completed, and this task is to change the security situation and return the residents to their homes.
Jerusalem's top defense official further urged the troops to remain prepared, as a full-scale Israeli offensive could happen at any given moment, especially when the enemy least expects it.
I gave these instructions, which you are waiting for here today. I gave it in the south, and I observed the forces in action. After 3 weeks they set out and carried out their mission. It will also come here, and you should be prepared and ready to carry out the mission. We are concluding exercises for the entire IDF for a ground maneuver in all of its aspects, from the company framework to the command framework, and this facilitated a charged arrow that is ready for action, and we will know when to launch it. You will do everything you need to, use the time properly, because as soon as it comes, it happens.
Meanwhile, in Washington, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder highlighted the unwavering commitment of the United States to defend Israel, while stressing further Washington's continued commitment to de-escalate hostilities throughout the region.
DoD continues to monitor the situation across the region and remains postured to support the defense of Israel and protect U.S. troops and assets in the region. Secretary Austin had the opportunity to touch base with his Israeli counterpart over the weekend to get an update on IDF operations, and we remain intently focused on de-escalating tensions in the Middle East, while also remaining focused on securing a ceasefire as part of a hostage deal to bring all of the hostages home and to end the war in Gaza.
General Ryder went on to highlight that the United States obtained evidence regarding Iranian shipments of ballistic missiles to Russia for use in the latter's war against Ukraine. Meanwhile, in London, Britain's Foreign Secretary David Lammy, in a joint press conference with his American counterpart Antony Blinken, emphasized that Washington and London are completely aligned, too, on the need to tackle Iran's malign activity in the region and beyond.
And on the Middle East, we are completely aligned on the need to secure that ceasefire, completely aligned on the need to get the region onto a path to peace and reconciliation with a two-state solution at its heart, and completely aligned too on the need to tackle Iran's malign activity in the region and beyond. We're seeing a disturbing pattern of greater Iranian support for the Kremlin's illegal war, and we discussed today our shared commitment to holding Tehran to account for their undermining of global stability.
Now, Tehran has long supplied deadly drones. It's built a drone factory in Russia. It's trained Russian personnel on how to operate them. For some time, the United States has warned of an additional threat: the provision by Iran of ballistic missiles to Russia for use in Ukraine. We've warned Tehran publicly, we've warned Tehran privately, that taking this step would constitute a dramatic escalation. Dozens of Russian military personnel have been trained in Iran to use the Fata 360 close-range ballistic missile system, which has a maximum range of 75 miles. Russia has now received shipments of these ballistic missiles and will likely use them within weeks in Ukraine against Ukrainians.
Washington's top diplomat continued by highlighting that the United States shared the intelligence proving the transfer of Iran's said munitions to Russia, while further warning that the Moscow-Tehran military partnership is a two-way street, as part of which Russia supports Iran on nuclear issues as well as some space information.
In recent days, we've been sharing intelligence behind these findings with our allies and partners, and working together to ensure that there will be significant economic consequences for Tehran's actions. The United States will be announcing further sanctions on Iran later today, including additional measures on Iran Air. We expect allies and partners will be announcing their own new measures on Iran as well. Iran's new president and foreign minister have repeatedly said that they want to restore engagement with Europe. They want to receive sanctions relief. Destabilizing actions like these will achieve exactly the opposite.
In light of this latest published revelation, the United States and the so-called E3, including Britain, France, and Germany, announced a list of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, a move warmly welcomed by Israel.
אני מברך את ארצות הברית ו-E3
I commend the United States and the E3 on their decision to sanction Iran over the transfer of Iranian ballistic missiles that threaten Ukraine and Europe. I instructed the Foreign Ministry to immediately act at the European Union and additional countries so that they would also decide to slap Iran with wide-ranging sanctions and to declare the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, a terrorist organization.
It is important to highlight that senior European diplomats have told TV7 on a number of occasions that the main obstacle that essentially prevents the designation of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps at the European Union was no other than EU High Representative for Foreign and Security Policy, Josep Borrell. The European Union did not immediately respond, however, to TV7's request for comment. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who've supported TV7 Israel, as our broadcast ministry is exclusively reliant on your generosity. On this same note, I would like to encourage you, if you're blessed by our productions and have not yet done so, please consider donating. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Last but certainly not least, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.